I think right now there's really a turning point in how they look at the technology, how robust it is with the ongoing regulatory clarity. The level of adoption, and quite frankly, in some instances, FOMO that we're seeing from institutions is pretty significant.
Yeah. How do we
oh, this guy's an Apple millionaire. He bought Apple back in, such and such date. Or this guy's he bought Yahoo back in, back in the days, and he made millions during the dot-com era. And I was always just like in my head, like, damn, like I want that to be me. You know what I mean? And like, I never in a million years did I see myself being involved in like tech the way I am right now. And to be aligned with all this information and learning it at this moment in time and literally being pioneers in the space in DeFi, like it's just, man, I'm absolutely just infatuated with the universe aligning me with where I need to be. And man, I love crypto.
I agree with you, man. 110%. Now is the opportune moment to be alive and to be a part of this transformation and to not be confused and manipulated like the masses who are just sleeping on the potential opportunity here that we have to transform our lives financially, spiritually, physically. We are undergoing the fourth industrial transformation, and so many things fall into that, not just technology. And it's hard, man. A lot of people are suffering. They're suffering so much, and they've been manipulated so far that they just can't see past all the smoke and mirrors. And there's a lot of smoke and mirrors happening right now, dude. There's a lot of distractions. Like every single time the market loses $100 billion, it's the same freaking blah blah blah. Crypto's a scam, DeFi's a scam. Like, no, y'all, it's time. That is an opportunity. When the market drops like that, we have never seen fundamentals this bullish in crypto. Market uncertainty right now is temporary because of the geopolitical tensions, because of the tariff implications, and that's creating some headwinds for crypto and other risk assets. But when all of that subsides, yo, I know you see it. The underlying infrastructure and the buildup by institutions is huge, yo. Like, and it's coming. It's coming. It's going to take some more time. We're realistic here at CYPRX in the Wealth 28 Club. It's going to take some time, but I think people are underestimating what's going to happen in the next 12 to 18 months.
If you want to do it for outside the US, I think you'd be surprised at how much is already possible. And we historically have focused our tokenization efforts primarily outside the US. Increasingly with the current administration in the US, there's obviously pros and cons, but there is regulatory clarity emerging, and I think people are going to be surprised at what's going to be possible even in the US in the next 12 to 18 months.
100%. I feel like there's going to be liquidity coming in so many directions. Like it's just wild because there's just so many different people and and sectors that it's bringing liquidity to these chains. And like, boy, when you tapped in and you're seeing everything, you're like, man, like this is gonna add up. And I think that guy that was on stage, I'm forgetting his name, that you had shared in a video in the past, where he said there is a dam of liquidity waiting to just being poured into chain, waiting for regulations. And I can see it. You know what I mean? There's so many areas, real world assets and tokenization of real estate, and the DeFi side of things, and just somebody who maybe wants to stake. And like, boy, man, talk about liquidity, bro. It's crazy.
I love that you always pull up that video, and bro, I got timestamps for everything, so I just pulled it up real quick just so that way we can play it there, because that's going to be just a great kickoff for today's video. So while we're having everybody roll in, welcome back to another CYPRX Wealth 28 Club podcast. I'm your host, CYPRX, joined by my co-host, Mr. Aqua. In today's video breakdown, we are going to thoroughly go over why now is not the time to be bearish on crypto, and show you guys physical proof and examples of ongoing fundamentals and developments that are taking place that prove that institutional FOMO is in fact happening. And even though we are in a slight risk-off environment as of time of recording this, with the market shedding about $90 billion in the last 48 to 72 hours due to some risk-off things, we should be seeing these, at least not financial advice. I am seeing these market pullbacks and these corrections that we see intraday as opportunities. And the research that I'm going to share with you guys today surrounding XRP and XPR are going to prove why now is the time to be focused on researchers, not bullish moonboy hopium and hype that just spits you guys out these dopamine fixed price projections that mislead you, because you expect that the market's going to flip bullish one day, and then the next day you see $100 billion wiped clean from the market, and you don't understand why. It manipulates your brain, and it makes you start to think and make irrational based decisions. And now is not the time for irrational based decisions. Now it's time for focus. Now it's time for you to lock in. Now it's time to get your stuff together, because we are undergoing one of the biggest transformations in our lifetime. So Aqua, I agree with you, bro, on what you were saying. I want to roll that video clip where Aqua was talking about this gentleman. This is the digital asset lead at EY. Excuse me. Let me get his credentials correct. He is the global blockchain leader at EY, Paul Brody. He goes on to talk about exactly what Aqua was mentioning, that once the regulatory dam is lifted, people don't understand how much money is about to flood into this space. And we're starting to see pockets of that in today's fundamentals. So just take a second here and listen.
Right. This part of the conversation is called the Great Liquidity Reservoir, and I am going to struggle to convey just how much capital there is behind this regulatory dam, because the numbers are just monumental, right? How much money is there? Well, let's start with the most liquid of the liquid, right? Bank deposits, stocks, and bonds. $400 trillion. Right? Certainly more than my current retirement nest egg, and plenty of money to buy you a nice place in central London or San Francisco. Right? 400 trillion. There's another 379 trillion in real estate. Right? Gold is 13 trillion by itself. And then you get to the entire crypto ecosystem is like 2.5 trillion. Right? I'm not going to say all of this money is going into crypto, but quite a lot of it will end up in crypto, and a huge amount of it is going to end up in tokenized digital assets.
Like, does anybody need to clean out their ears to rehear that? He literally just said, I'm not going to say all of that money is going to come into crypto, but a certain portion of it is going to come into crypto, right? That is trillions of dollars. Even if, let's just say, the total cryptocurrency market cap garnished 20 trillion of that. Think about where we're at now. That is huge, bro. If you're ignoring this opportunity, you got to do more research. This video still only has 655 views, bro. It blows my mind.
You're kidding. Oh my God. That does not have enough views. That is wild. That is super wild.
Only one of the top 4 consulting firms on the face of this planet telling you, pay attention. Which leads me into this. I redacted this person's name because I'm not here to start any drama or insult anyone's intelligence, but this is the type of stuff, guys and gals, that now in this day and age of information, you want to attempt to ignore. You want to attempt to help these people understand market conditions by understanding them yourselves, so that way we can spread awareness. And that's what we do here at CYPRX. Even though it may seem like sometimes we're tooting our horn because we're very accurate in this community, we're not. We're just simply trying to show people that there is light in this space, there is an answer, and there is a community of individuals and many others out there that actually understand market conditions and actually understand how to invest properly. And we're really building wealth, right? We're really building wealth. And some people are not going to be able to capitalize on the full potential of this market shift because they're not focused on building wealth. They're just focused on hype and short-term quick dopamine fixes to get a little tiny turn $1,000 into $100,000 mindset. They're not thinking 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. So this post here says, honestly, does anybody have any idea for why the market is crashing? What have I missed? Okay. And so coming over here, just to show you guys in our private CYPRX community, we mentioned, recently we saw Israel and Iran and the whole debacle that's been happening. We saw one of the main reasons why there was a massive risk off appetite over the past, let's just say 7 trading days, was primarily because of this. It says here, Wall Street falls as Israel strikes on Iran and it erodes risk sentiment. Okay. Well, crypto is one of the riskiest asset classes. So that's one of the primary reasons why we saw a lot of liquidations today. This is from June 13th, 2025. And in our private community, we have been prepping for this for weeks. So right now in the private CYPRX community, it's like a shark frenzy. Everybody's having great conversations, talking about what's on discount. Everybody's like, yo, is everybody's DeFi pools? Is everybody good? Everybody still earning? What are y'all doing? Like, it's such great camaraderie because we've been prepping for this, right? This is a conversation that we had in the fundamental chat in our Discord back from May 21st, right? So almost over a month, bro. We've been discussing this. And I said, one of the things that we need to pay attention to is Middle East tensions because they've reclaimed center stage. US intelligence indicates Israel is quietly positioning for a possible strike on Iranian nuclear facilities, just as Washington pursues fresh talks with Tehran, right? So we were reading intelligence documents where they were projecting this already ahead of the curve. So now fast forward to today that it's happened, nobody in the CYPRX community is panicking because as soon as the headline dropped, we were all like, oh, here it goes.
Yep. Nobody was panicking.
Nobody was panicking.
Yeah. Talk about discount frenzy. Yes, that was, yeah, like, man, those conversations are just so great to be a part of too, because it keeps your mind out of all the other bull. You know what I mean? Like having this community and being able to lean on this community, isn't it just so great to like tap in with our community? And there's so many like minds that are not tripping during these times. It's just an amazing experience, man.
I'm not gonna lie. I could not imagine not being a part of a community like ours in today's day and age. Number one, because of misinformation. Number two, because of what's happening with AI fakes and deep fakes out there right now. And then also just on the scammy nature of crypto. It's like having a community where you can come in and be like, oh, is this a possible phishing link or scamming link, and get a whole bunch of different opinions of people that have been through a lot of stuff is great right now. Or even just being a part of a community that understands fundamentals and being aware of why the market is up 100 billion or why the market's down 100 billion, that has nothing to do with, crypto native fundamentals. Like, for example, this past week was excessively bullish. We had Apex going on. We had a whole bunch of we had SEC announcements, a DeFi roundtable hosted by the SEC. Like, stuff was super bullish, but look at price action. And so if you're an uninformed retail investor, you're going to get misconstrued and misled because one half of social media is telling you crypto's going up, up, up. But on the back end, your portfolio is bleeding and you don't know why. And last week, at the beginning of the week, you put $1,000 in and now it's worth 700. You're going to think crypto's a scam if you don't know what the heck is going on. Now is not the time for that. Like, here's another example. This is from May 28th. So I like to show multiple timestamps. By the way, there's no other influencer on the internet besides like maybe 2 or 3 others that actually show timestamps from their community. I stand on that, by the way. I stand on that. And I want you to show your timestamp too, Aqua, that call out that you made that we're going to talk about today, the 700%, because that's fire, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. I slept on it. I'm not gonna lie. I slept on it. As a matter of fact, bro, Ruby told me 6 months before you got in. So imagine if I had to listen to Ruby. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. This is from May 28th, 2025. It says U.S. officials are concerned that Israel may strike Iran nuke sites without much warning. So we were prepping for this. And then, boom, right? So now fast forward to recent times, major alert, Israel attacks Iran. Word for word, everything that we were talking about in this community. And so, I posted this, all right? Why am I telling you guys that I believe, to buy when there's blood, and that right now we're seeing a turning point that is unprecedented in history? We've never seen the sentiment in crypto history like we have recently, ever, where banks and institutions are publicly announcing what they plan to do with their crypto asset holdings in the DeFi ecosystem with digital assets like XRP. 2-3 years ago, you could not see any financial institution publicly posting about why and what they're going to be doing with their XRP. Like, you can't find me a document. It was all speculation. It was all a whole bunch of researchers being called crazy that institutions were never going to hold XRP and they were never going to use XRP, and XRP is never going to be utilized in the global financial system in the future. And now that is all changed for the first time ever.
Yeah, nah, facts. This is the sentiment has totally changed. I mean, just seeing some of the marketing videos like from Flare Network and just other protocols that are enticing and letting you know that yield opportunities are coming for your XRP and to, stay tapped in coming soon. But yeah, I know Flare came out with we didn't see none of that type of marketing or promotion 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And now it's just, yeah, it's turning up more and more every day.
It's turning up, bro. So, and we'll get to a portion of today's video breakdown where I'm going to go into detail and I want to show you guys all these organizations that just recently announced that they're going to put, XRP on their balance sheet. what they plan to do with it, right? So because they're physically telling you guys what they plan to do with it, and most of these firms, most of these organizations plan to utilize it for line of credit, to lend, to borrow, or to generate yield with, to accumulate more positions, right? And so I'm going to show you guys all that in a later portion. We're going to get to, I want Aqua to present what he's got to present. So back to that, okay? Why am I telling you guys that I think to buy when there's blood in moments like this, to understand the fundamentals, to lock in, to know about market, what drives market liquidity in and out of these markets and in and out of safe haven assets? That's an important factor. If you don't understand why gold goes up in value, why the dollar goes down in value, and you just always think the dollar is going to collapse, but then next week the dollar is bullish and you don't know why, that's an issue, especially if you're trading the financial markets. So again, tap into a community like ours where we deliver these handwritten reports via fundamental analysts in our community that actually have credentials, So I said buy when there's blood. And then down at the bottom of this, I said anything over $100 billion shed from this market, in my opinion, should be seen as an entry criteria for long-term investors, right? And then I said here, the only issue anyone should be having when the market is down like this is figuring out what to buy because everything looks so good.
Man, you speaking facts, bro. When you really understand that this is not a short term, a goal being in crypto, and this is long term stuff, man. And I understand when you come into crypto, that doesn't make sense, man. Like your mind is just like they got people's minds. My mind was also wired that way when I first came into crypto. And that fear that you feel when you're like, just like you said, you put in $1,000 and now it's worth 700. It's like, yo, what am I doing? And for so long, it's just like backwards. You know what I mean? You're in fear when it's down. Maybe you don't sell, but then when it's up, now you're feeling FOMO, so you're trying to buy more when you should have bought more 2 weeks ago when there was bloodshed. So
it's weird that everybody wants to come into crypto to make money, but nobody wants to put the elbow grease in to actually learn how to make money in crypto. I think that that's probably one of the best well said things of all 2025. I'm not even going to toot my own horn. Everybody wants to come into crypto to make money, but nobody wants to put the 10,000 hours in of time that it takes to learn how to really truly make money from crypto. Period. They don't. If you're different, then you got to learn this stuff. It's not ifs, ands, or buts. You got to learn about liquidity in markets. You got to learn about global financial conditions and freaking central bank policy and what actually shifts economic conditions. And like, it's not just like something you can download on your phone and be like, oh, I'm going to win. No, because you're coming up against people that have much more information than you, right? This is a data-driven game. If you don't have the proper data, the proper information, you're going to be manipulated and you're going to make irrational based decisions. Like Aqua was saying, you're going to come in and buy when the market's pumping because you think it's going to keep going up because you keep seeing all these Fibonacci Moonboy projections because your YouTube channel algorithm is saturated and that's all that's given to you. You're going to be distraught when the market pulls back and you don't understand why, right? And then you get fearful and you're like, oh shit, should I sell? Then you sell at a loss. It's not fun. I mean, I laugh because it happens every day in a sense of people choosing ignorance, choosing a path of ignorance instead of choosing a path of enlightenment and research. Moving on, Alex Becker posted this. It says, I literally mean, I can't read this without feeling like a female. I'm not even gonna lie. I literally, and I mean literally, like that's how he said it. Like he said it like with an attitude, cannot think of any major banking institution, commerce, or investing brand not going all in on DeFi. DeFi is about to explode and retail is 100% sleeping. I cannot agree more. This is a post, and I'll let you full circle back to this to introduce what you want to bring to everybody today, where Walmart and Amazon are exploring launching their own stable coins. I know you have some interesting information about stable coins and who's focused on that niche. But I agree with Alex Becker, and I don't think people really truly understand what just recently happened. Like, for example, this is Chair Atkins. And he just recently said at the SEC roundtable, which was streamed 4 freaking days ago, bro. So this is all fresh, that participating in staking is not classified as a security. Listen to this. This is crazy. This is verbal. This is like verbal regulatory clarity. Like nothing's been signed yet. But for the first time ever, the SEC publicly has come out and said, look, if you're staking, you're not breaking securities laws, Check this out.
That participants and staking as a service providers may be engaged in securities transactions. I'm grateful to the Division of Corporation Finance staff for clarifying this view that its view that voluntary participation in proof of work or proof of stake network as a miner or a validator or staking as a service provider is not within the scope of the federal securities laws.
That opens the door. You know, all the stuff that we were doing research on Bitcoin mining and how it's going to change the energy infrastructure and how they're like attaching nuclear power plants to Bitcoin miners and shit.
Yeah.
And how that whole entire industry was like sidelined from really truly advancing because they were worried about Bitcoin mining being classified as a security. And now there's verbal clarity that it's not. Yo.
It's about the 10x just with the infrastructure that they've built now. Guaranteed they've been, you know what I mean? They've been holding back just because of this. And now that they have the green light, we're going to see it, you know, going. What we're about to see in rural areas with solar panels and shit, it's going to get wild.
The next leg up in crypto that really, really truly comes and ignites itself is going to be, I think, you know who else I think is still funny too? The people, not only the people that don't really understand intraday market cycles, but the people that are old school in crypto, like all the old XRP influencers that have like large followings now, that think that we're going to continue to follow the same market cycles that we have in crypto previous to what's happening now. Like all these influencers that have all these high-end following counts still think that when all these institutions really start dumping liquidity into the crypto markets, that we're still going to see like these trading cycles that existed before. Like when real utility hits, anybody that tells you they know what the market's going to look like, that you're going to be able to sell your XRP at $23 and get back in at $5 because there's going to be a pullback, they're an idiot. Block them, because nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Yeah, that's facts.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So if they're telling you that, they're literally lying. How are they? How can you confirm they're lying? Because nobody knows that. That is a lie.
Yeah. No, you're speaking facts right now, bro.
And I could name 10 influencers that have a lot of, you know, following in the XRP community right now. I don't bash anybody, but they're telling people that. They're acting like they know and they don't. That's wild to me that people watch that crap, bro. It's crazy. Like imagine a future where you listen to that for 5 years and then finally 5 years later XRP hits $100, right? And you're like, oh my God, okay, I'm gonna sell my XRP. Boom, you sell it, right? Because you think that we're gonna top out. You think you're gonna get a re-entry at $50, right? Whatever. And XRP never pulls back and it goes to $1,000, $10,000. You know, I've never given a bullish Moonboy price prediction of XRP. This is all hypothetical, but what if, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're speaking facts.
How much stupider would you feel
if you took it out?
If you took it out and you missed. So again, now the landscape is changing because we can diversify, where we can have portions of our XRP where I plan to sell for fiat. Like I plan to sell for some fiat to buy myself something nice with a lot of the units I've been accumulating over the years. But that's just like 10%, 15% maybe, right? The other 80 and 20% is going to be generating me yield, passive income. And if I want something nice, I'm just going to pay myself with the yield that I'm generating. Or if I want to go buy a house with my XRP that's worth $1,000 in the future, I'm going to go loan out 1,000 XRP and I'll have $100,000 loan that I can go put down on a house. And I never have to sell my XRP. And because I'm loaning out my XRP, I'm also earning yield on that. And so when I pay that back and I'm done the payment back on that, my XRP position is going to be more because I'm just going to compound that yield in my loan position and I'm going to keep my wealth. So many people are going to get wrecked this next cycle with digital assets like XRP because they haven't focused on building those strategies into their investment schematic. And I'm telling you right now, you're going to look back on a recording if you think I'm crazy right now, and you're gonna be like, dang, he was right. Sold. Go ahead.
Real talk as well. Like when you're new to XRP, what I've noticed, there's a lot of adoption of, you know, just different phrases, know what you hold, not your keys, not your crypto. And you know, I feel like, you know, or the best one I love is be your own bank, but nobody's being their own bank except for putting an asset in a cold storage wallet. That's not being your own bank. So like to the person that's in the comments right now that's saying that you're brand new to XRP, what I would tell you to do is really look into like what your XRP can do for you once you're done researching, you know, the ins and the outs of Ripple and everything behind it. But what can your asset do for you right now? There are so many digital assets right now that have so many lucrative just staking opportunities, giving you liquid staking with the option to double stake. You know what I mean? And like, that is major to like have your assets growing for you as you're accumulating. You're always going to beat the next man next to you that's just cold storaging, the $1,000 that he locked up for the past 2 years. And you started with the same 1,000, but you're staking 20% of your bag. So therefore you're always going to get ahead. You know what I mean? So like, don't leave no money on the table. Not financial advice, but just really research what your digital asset can really, really do for you, because it should be earning you some sort of yield.
Yeah, I think that also too, people just get wrapped up so much in not the old utility that XRP used to have, but the focus that Ripple used to have, which was remittances and cross-border payments. And they still obviously, of course, have that focus, but they've opened up a whole entire another branch with, the EVM sidechain that's coming on the XRPL that's going to freaking unlock programmability and smart contracts, and just all these features that XRP has never had the intrinsic ability to do. Well, excuse me, let me rephrase that. It has always had the ability to do it. It just has never been unlocked. And for the first time ever last year, and now moving on, all these DeFi primitives that have never been available to XRP enthusiasts are now becoming available. And you have to think, if you got 10,000 XRP in your wallet, right? Okay, cool. But you got these XRP whales. There's whales that hold XRP that don't want to sell. It's not just about you. And I'm telling you guys right now, these institutions, these organizations, these private family offices, these high-end people that hold a lot of XRP, they're going to be putting their XRP to work. And that is going to create a level of demand on the digital asset XRP that we've never seen the likes of.
So we've been working on the EVM sidechain for almost 2 years now, and there are many reasons why do we need the EVM sidechain. I would say the first one is because we are opening the programmability doors on the XRP ledger. XRP ledger has not been able to be programmed. You cannot deploy smart contracts on the XRP ledger in his entire lifespan. And now we are opening the doors for that to be possible. So with the EVM sidechain, we are enabling the ability for anyone who's holding XRP to move the XRP on the EVM sidechain without putting sell pressure on the XRP,
And we're going to get into that in today's video breakdown. I constantly try to get people to see that right now, right, the crypto market cap for XRP is what, 130 billion or something like that, right? But if you look at that, if you actually look at that, it's pretty much, I'd say, I don't know what, 90% or more of that is sitting dormant on centralized exchanges and cold storage wallets, right? 100. Imagine if just 20 billion or even 50 billion of dollars of that becomes active in DeFi. I mean, we are going to see, like, let's just take ETH, right? Go look at the total market cap of ETH is like what, 300 billion or something, right? And then the DeFi ecosystem in ETH is what, like 60 billion. Something like that. I mean, these numbers could be short, like small off, but I know I'm not far off. So, you can always check me, but I'm pretty sure the market cap of ETH hovers around like what, 330 billion or something. And then like the DeFi ecosystem in ETH is like 60 billion, maybe might be a little down right now, like 58 billion, but I'm around those figures. So imagine if just $60 billion of the $130 billion market cap of XRP became active in DeFi on the XRPL. Y'all, do the math. Just go do it yourself. I won't give you a price prediction, but wow, the price of XRP is going to be, if you can math properly, this is a math-based game, y'all. Like, just, this is a math-based game and the math backs it. So just go do that research. Check this out. This is Jazzy Cooper. Let's finish off the topic and go back to the stablecoin announcement, because I want to solidify why I keep telling people, like, you should be seeing these market opportunities as a buy and not fear. Because just the other day at Apex, 2 days ago, Jazzy Cooper, the head of DeFi developments at Ripple, she pretty much said that, it's now more risky for institutions not to get involved than it is for them to get involved, which is just an insane statement, right? So let's listen to what she says here.
Thanks, David. It's true, we're at a turning point. Public chains were once seen as too risky for institutions, and now it's too risky for institutions not to integrate them with their business. Institutions have truly embraced blockchain and are finally launching real products on public chains, including the XRP ledger. And XRPL is evolving to meet that demand. Over the past year, a number of key features have gone live, ranging from the automated market maker to decentralized identity, price oracles, and clawback. And we have others that are still in voting: credentials, MPTs, permission domains. These features are foundational infrastructure for building secure, transparent, and scalable financial products. And we're not just modernizing finance, we're making it more inclusive, accessible, and programmable. And we're finally seeing real traction. XRPL is supporting real-world applications ranging from payments to yield generation, all decentralized and at scale.
Yield generation.
And all that scale.
And all that scale, baby. Come on now. And then you got this dude here, and we'll kind of cut it here of what just, this is all just recent stuff. It's happening for the first time ever. This gentleman from Ondo, he goes on to say that we're about to see institutional FOMO. These are all.
He's seen it now. He's seen it. He said he's seen it now.
Oh, is that the case? Is that what he says?
Yeah.
Let's listen. Let's peep this. And he's on stage, by the way, with Monica Long too, which she was only on stage the other day at Paris Blockchain Week saying that their acquisition of Hidden Road is going to ignite freaking DeFi into the stratosphere. What's this gentleman's name here? Do you know?
It's Ian. His last name is like a 3-part last name, but he's the chief strategy officer at Ondo Finance.
Okay. I just like to give people somebody's credentials. So that's who this gentleman is. But listen to what he says here about they're about to see institutional FOMO.
I believe that's right.
What do you? So I also think another big shift from 2016 to today is more openness from major institutions of using public blockchains. Like when you and I were talking to banks back in the 10 years ago time frame. I mean, it was like intense fear and just reticence to go onto public chains. That's really changed. So what do you think? What do you see as the important capabilities or factors that institutions need to see to go onto public blockchains?
Yeah, I think, back then, to be fair to institutions, I guess, the maturity of the infrastructure typically wasn't there.
Sure.
And the education that was required, people just didn't get it, right? You need a couple of years, you need a couple of cycles for it to start to click. And I think, honestly, Ripple did a phenomenal job as being part of that education, because I feel like Ripple was the first blockchain to really go for the institutions and say, guys, this is 24/7 movement of value, get with the program. So you were very much ahead of your time, I shall say. But clearly, institutions now are coming on board because I think, in part, the technology has proven to be sufficiently robust and, quite frankly, better in many regards than what a lot of institutions can offer. A lot of the existing TradFi banks look at stablecoins, 24/7 value movement, and say, whoops, my systems can't support that.
Yeah.
And it is not going to take that long for them to do the same thing when they look at on-chain stocks and ETFs and you name your asset, right? And so I think right now there's really a turning point in how they look at the technology, how robust it is with the ongoing regulatory clarity. The level of adoption and, quite frankly, in some instances, FOMO that we're seeing from institutions is pretty significant.
Yo, there's so much to unpack what he just said. First off, the first piece, I'll let you speak on the second piece, the institutional FOMO part. But he said, it takes a couple of years for people to get it, to have an aha moment. And we're in that moment. People are starting to get it. People are starting to pay attention, dive deeper. I know, 300 plus people in the private CYPRX community, they're really starting to get it and are starting to really see through all the smoke and mirrors that's in crypto and realizing this is bigger than a lot of people think. It just is going to take a lot more time than most people think. It's coming, but this is not a get rich quick thing. This is a complete transformation of the financial system. Go ahead.
I mean, if there's anybody to stand by that has FOMO, it's these institutions, right? So, I mean, he said it himself. We're seeing in some cases institutions having FOMO. So that's massive to me. And that warms my heart, man, because we've been aligned with this for over a year now. So like, this is, wow, the tide has changed. Boy, has it changed, right?
I want to unpack at the end of what Jazzy Cooper said about stake, or did she say yield generation? Right? She said yield generation. But before I get onto that and transition over to the staking and yield portion of today's video, where I want to show you guys that these recent announcements from these institutions putting XRP on their balance sheet and what they're using XRP for. I want to let Aqua break down for you guys in capital on this post where Alex Becker said, literally, and I mean literally, I cannot think of any major bank and institution, commerce, or investing brand not going all in on DeFi. DeFi is about to explode. And he reposted the Cointelegraph tweet or post from just the other day, excuse me, where Walmart and Amazon are exploring launching their own stablecoins, right? So Aqua, did you want to speak, please,
Yeah,
on
I'll speak on
some of the
that.
info that you're
Yeah,
killing? I'm gonna let you share your screen on loan and XPR and everything.
yeah, and I'm curious too, did it say like who they're exploring it with?